Hi, friends. Today we have a special speaker with us, and he was kind enough to answer a few questions. Adriel William, a graduate from the one of the dental schools. He's gonna tell us his story. Adriel, hi.
Hi, Ark. How you doing? You
The,
prefer being called Ark, right?
I do prefer, yeah. My full name
Uh,
is Arkadiy, but
Arkady?
I I just Arkadiy, yeah. That's
Arkady.
a Russian name or Armenian name, but I inherited this Ark, the short version,
Yeah,
once I
America.
started in
America
the United
spoiled
States.
everything. It makes
Yeah,
nickname out of everything.
I wanna first ask you, where are you now? What do you do? What kind of dentistry do you do? Because you're already a graduate dentist, and
Yes.
then we can go through the other parts of your story.
Ark, yeah, thanks for asking. So right now I'm in Ohio. I work as a GP, general dentist. Well, I'm a GP because I have a DDS license, but currently I work with a couple of practice where I rotate and do surgeries with them. Under sedations like wisdom teeth, impacted teeth, full mouth extractions, a little bit of implants. So right now, that's what I'm doing. But before that, I was doing GP work with a corporate DSO. I graduated in 22 December from Colorado.
Congratulations on
Yeah.
finally graduation and being accepted. And tell us where you're from. What is your background?
So originally, I'm from Pakistan. Just to make it really brief for people, and I know you have a lot of Russian students who bought this. So I graduated from Pakistan back in 2013. Then I started doing oral surgery residency, which was 4 years long. I felt I'm gonna grow old if I stick around for 4 years. So after about 1 year, I moved to US, did a master's in health administration in Maryland, in Frederick, which we were discussing. And then after my 2 years mastered, I started working with a nonprofit parachurch organization that was helping resettlement for refugees and immigrants. So I started doing that. And for 2 years, I did that. Then COVID came in. I started applying to school, applied to about 10 schools, got accepted to four of them. And amongst four of them, I ended up going to Colorado, was there for 2 years, graduated in 22, and now in Ohio.
You made it very concise. Really,
Have to. People would just click, like they will click to the next video. I have to make it concise, right?
for sure, for sure. Why did you choose dentistry in the first place?
Oh, that was an accident. I was an engineer. I'm gonna be bluntly honest about it. I was always a backbencher guy of my school, of my. I would just study to pass my exam. Otherwise, I would be in the basketball court or thinking about some other stuff all the time. I was an engineering student,
Hmm.
and I did get accepted to engineering school, but I had biology as my secondary like thing in the high school. We have this A levels like British exam, so I had biology as a secondary thing. My dad was a professor of biology in a university, so I got into a mechanical school. He didn't like that university where I got accepted, so he brought me into biotechnology. He said, "You're going to do an undergrad in biotechnology rather than going into that mechanical program." And at that time, one of my friends was applying to dentist school, and he gave the exam and got accepted. And I went after him. I was like, okay, let me try. And I got accepted. And it was, I usually say it was something destiny decide. I've never been very much like I want to be this or I'll die. I've never been this kind of a person. I just want to work hard. If something feels good, I'll go with it. Otherwise, I'm going to start looking for a second option. That's why I'm doing YouTube as well.
And why moving to the United States?
Well, there are a couple of different ways to look at it. Well, one of the things was my dad, when I was in my final year of BDS, like Bachelor of Dental Surgery, I was 22 years old. I was just a kid, enjoying my life. Everything was good. My brothers were studying in England. I was the youngest at home, enjoying everything. And then one day, suddenly, my dad had an accident. I was crossing the road with him. He passed away after 7 days of that. And then life flipped, like everything flipped. The house we were living in, the financial situation, like I tell people, like I was 22 years old, and after his death in a month, I had to act like a 40 years old because there were so many crises to deal with and everything. And then I was like, in these countries, you don't go for therapies. You just do what you're supposed to do. That's how life works. So I thought, oh, I'm gonna go into neurosurgery now. Like screw everything. I'm gonna go for the postgrad. I'm gonna be the big dog. I went in there and I felt more frustrated. It was like nothing was making sense. And during that time, my father's inheritance was given to me. And I was like, okay, I got some money now. What do you do with this? And being a young, naive person, I sold everything, whichever was given to me at that time. And because overall Pakistan's condition was going down slope. And growing up as Adriel William in Islamic Republic of Pakistan was no fun either. So overall, the circumstances, because of my mindset, I was like, I want to take this adventure. I applied to a school, got accepted to a master's in health administration program, and I just took a leap of faith. That's what I would say.
In the United States, you applied and you got accepted.
Yeah, in Maryland, I applied for a
I
master's
see.
in health administration.
So you moved here with a student visa, right?
Yes, I came on an F1 student visa at that time, and it was no
Interesting.
fun. Student visas are one of the worst situations to be at because you're like a customer to US. They will give you a visa right away if you have the money and got an admission I-20 because you're bringing in money from your third world country to the first world country. But once you come here, you can't work. You just get legal, like you're legally a resident to live and study, but you can't make money and you get to do very small jobs if you get one in the school campus. And along with that is just you don't know if you get a job, you're going to get an H1, you get a green card, and it's kind of like a lot of ambiguity during that time. And it's not an easy phase to survive on a student visa. That's tough. But overall, immigrations are tough either way. However, you walk in, US is no fun in the start.
I agree. We all been through it, and many people who are watching overseas, there are not in the United States who are watching this video are not touching the ground of the US, and they will know in future. It's very interesting. Very least amount of people are moving with the F1 visa. So how long was the program, and what did you do upon the graduation?
So here's one question I want to ask you. When you were saying most people are outside of US, your viewers are mostly Russians,
Uh, let's say that, yes.
and they are mostly in US or outside US?
Most of them are, well, I want to say 50-50, but most of them are outside.
Okay, all right. Okay, I'm just trying to know that if you're somebody who's planning to come, you want to buckle up your shoes because US is not for beginners. You know, on Instagram Reel, they say like India is not for beginner or Russia is not for beginners. Like US is systems are easier, but I think as an immigrant, every person who walks in has to. The first year is a very drilling situation, and when I came in, I was doing this like oral and maxillofacial surgery residency, and you think you're the big dog in the hospital. You're walking around like a resident, and everybody likes you, and you're blinking at the nurses and all of that stuff, right? You're being the cool guy, but then you come to US and you're like you're fresh off the boat. Everybody can look at you and see you're an immigrant. Your clothes tell, your accent tells. It's no fun. And then along with that, anything you buy, you're exchanging the currency in your head. You're calculating, oh, this is how much it costs back home. Oh, should I eat it or not? Like there were so many things, even the food buds, like taste buds for the food, like it takes time getting used to it. You
Totally
don't
agree.
know. I remember like I came here, I started driving like after a week, and then I got a traffic ticket because I was underspeeding in Maryland. That's the most like unmanly thing to happen. Like if you get a speeding ticket for like driving fast, that makes sense. Like I was underspeeding, I was below the speed, so they sent me a ticket, and that scared the shit out of me because I would be like, you know how you get those flashing lights on traffic.
Mm-hmm.
Whenever I would see a flash, I would go home and keep looking at my mail because I would say,
Uh-huh.
I'm going to get another $120 ticket again now. Like East Coast is very tough. Thank God in Ohio, we don't have that. But those are very tough time traveling, studying. trying to figure out how the visa thing worked. But I think the masters did help. It does lay a little bit of good foundation. At least you have a legal way to be a student. You're studying. People still give you a little bit respect for being a student. I think there's a certain level of respect. The tough part is finding a job afterward, because right now most places, like, they don't give you H1 visa. It's very competitive, and then applying for green card and all of that, that's a longer process.
Why, on the first place, you decided to do a Master of Health Administration, not Master of Public Health, not Master of Business, or any other degree?
So most of my life story, you'll say it was never well planned. It was just one chaos lead to another chaos. I actually got accepted. First, I got accepted to an MBA. One of my cousins who was helping me out, he said, just get an admission, get out of there. And once you come here, you can change your program. So I came in, my I-20 had an MBA, Masters in Public Health Administration. And at that time in 2016, that MBA was costing me about what, $25,000, $27,000. And when I came here, I was like, no, I want to change it to health administration. I'm a dentist. I want to be affiliated to health. And he was like, it doesn't matter whether you do an MBA or MHA, it's the same thing. It's the same thing. Like MPH, on the other hand, is actually more research. So it falls under STEM. It's a science degree, MPH, Masters in Public Health. But MHA is a Masters in Health Administration. It's an administrative degree. It's pretty much an MBA specialized in healthcare. So that's what it is. Because most of my courses were MBA courses: marketing, leadership, strategy, bioinformatics, IT. So I was taking a lot of biostatistics, not statistic, business statistic I took. So a lot of courses, finance, I didn't knew crap about finance, but a lot of things were MBA, but the name was MHA. So if you're somebody who's coming in for an MBA in health concentration, it's pretty much similar to MHA. It's not, doesn't make much difference. It's just that after that, you just need to find ways to get a job.
Did you get a job?
Yeah, I did. That's how I got the green card and everything. So
That's good.
it's just, I think one thing led to another. It's just like how I connected to you, like talk to you. I believe like it's God's plan, but one of the things that works out by the end of the day is just I meet people, something gets connected, one person lead to another, some opportunity opens up, and things work out by the end of the day. And that's how I got and landed up in Dayton, Ohio, where I started working for a parachurch organization that was willing to apply for my visa and green card and everything. And if you work for a non-profit, your visa process actually becomes fast-tracked.
But
Yes.
your salary is
Lower.
lesser, yeah, it's
Oh,
lower
yeah.
for sure.
Way lower, way lower.
So
But I
they,
just feel non-profit, like I just feel better working because the work culture are easier.
do you remember how long did it take for them to sponsor your
But
immigration and up until you got a green card?
I was one of the few. You won't believe. Like I said this once in my YouTube video. So people who don't know, I have a YouTube channel too, regarding dentistry and stuff. And I said this in my video once, that things that happen once in a billion and end up happening with me. And somebody texted me, hey, you're saying something which is very arrogant. And I'm not trying to be arrogant, but like things once in a while, like I will end up losing where I should win, and I end up winning where I should be losing. So with this green card thing, it's just that job place people were really nice. These were people who were coming from a background of very strong Christian basis. They had like really, they just talked to me a couple of times, interviewed me. They're like, yeah, we like the guy. We're going to apply for his green card. Nothing like, we don't want to do the in-between things. And they applied it. The Trump administration was changing. I don't know what rolled in and out, and looking at the non-profit, things just worked out really faster as compared to the others. And I had friends who whose visa were applied at the same time, and some of them haven't even gotten received their answers yet. But I don't know what, something went back and rolled things faster, and me getting my green card earlier. I don't know. It was just hand of God or plan or something like that. It might sound weird, but it is what it is.
It's interesting. I'm glad it worked out. I mean, I think you're one of the unique cases, right? But again, what helped you, I believe, knowing you a little bit more by now is I feel like it's your open persona, and you're very communicating person. I'm sorry. I want to
I
move to the next one. Go ahead.
I want to, sorry, I want to add something. This is very important. I used to work in a lot of, like, when I was, so I did all kind of odd jobs during my master's program. I said, like, I came in like an oral surgery residency, and after about 2 weeks, I was cleaning my cafeteria in the school, and like I used to like have, like, you know how in McDonald's they have big like fryers, you have to take out the oil, dump it out, and that was a very depressing feel time. Like, nobody even looks at you. You're like crying by yourself, standing up there at the night, like 9 p.m. And now you have to drive 2 hours back home, and nobody's going to be at home. You have to go and figure out what to eat. And it's a very depressing time. And at that time, I used to try to read stuff. And one of the things that I came across, that because you're like a sinking ship, you're somebody who's in a depression and fighting and trying to claw your way up to anything you can grab. And one of the things that I read at that time that really pinched me, that you can actually change your destiny. You can be more lucky in life. And I was like, how can somebody be more lucky in life? And it was written, your habits, your thought process changes your habit. So the kind of thoughts you carry in life will change your habits. Your habits will change your network, the kind of people you hang around with. And the kind of people you hang around with will change the kind of opportunities that will knock at your door. So imagine if I'm somebody who likes to be angry all the time and get aggressive and then smoke cigarette. This is a thought process that leads to a habit of smoking that will make me end up making more friends who are smoker. And then they might end offering me an opportunity to drink alcohol now. So see how there's a chain of thing. And at that time, doing the lowest bottom level jobs, I was trying to look at situation, and I was looking at how can I work my way out. I can't rely on my degree. There are so many people doing the same thing I'm doing. What can I do differently or look differently that can change things? And one of the biggest thing I felt, even reading it felt different, was your thoughts will change your habits, and the habits are the one that connect you to people, and that's what changes your destiny.
That's really nice of you to share. Especially, I believe, whoever is watching will take it onto their accounts and start changing them already now. I want to move to the next question. CAAPID cycles. How did it go for you up until you got accepted?
So for me, this was a little bit in a way that, because I did the master's and there was a lot of writing in the administrative program, like I had to write research paper, not research, but like article papers, and like write, every coursework would have one paper a week that we have to write. So writing was a part of it. After that, I got into a job where I was working with refugees and immigrants. So that was a very fascinating time of my life. I was facilitating people who were coming as refugees in US, and I had to listen to their stories, write down their stories, and try to find them donors, trying to find them healthcare, try to find them insurances, help them with resettlement. So at that time, I would listen to their stories and write it down and understand people's perspective, and how people, and also got to look how US look at people very differently. The way they look at Russians, the way they look at Pakistani Indians, the way they look at Middle Eastern. America has a lens about the world. That's what you see in Netflix. The Russia that they show on Netflix isn't the real Russia. Everybody knows that. But that's how America looks at it, and that's how they want to look at it. If you try to come and tell them, no, 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 Russia is different, they're like, screw you. We just consider it to
Exactly.
stick that way. And
Yeah.
that's when I started working with refugees, listening to stories. Like there were people who were Kurdish, coming from Middle East, like really small persecuted communities. Like you're an Armenian person who grew up in Russia, so you're like a minority within minority kind of situation. So I got to hear about these different people group, minority groups, their background, their stories, and I got to realize I'm one of them actually, because I grew up as a Christian in Pakistan, which is 0.1%. And now it makes sense why I look at the world differently, because you're a minority group. I met Muslims coming from India, and this was just Uyghurs from China, that side. So it was a very different time. So when I started applying for CAAPID and writing this application, it was nothing new for me. One of the things that really helped me was communicating to schools. So I wasn't just filling in applications. I was trying to reach out to schools. I wanted them to know me personally, because I felt like if I send in a paper, there will be 500, 800 people, and who cares about the papers? But if they get to talk to me, they get to see me, maybe they will hate me, maybe they will like me, but at least I'll get a decision. So I started applying for CAPID. I looked for open days. I started reaching out to students, alumni, talking to them, trying to, and you have to be very careful in asking people for requests because these students are busy. You just tell them, hey, this is who I am, this is what I've done. Is there anything you can guide me about? And somebody said, go to schools open house. So I ended up going to UIC open house, visited the school, which was very expensive at that time to travel, live somewhere, go early morning. It was snowing. Then I flew to Colorado for their like a observership day, or like they had this day. And then there was I went to Indiana for the for like a visit on the campus. So I was
Same here.
doing these things. Yep. So that's one of the things I was doing differently when I was applying to schools.
You think those open houses and meeting the portion of the faculty helped you?
Oh, it makes a lot of difference. I think it just opens up. It depends on what are you looking for. It's also, I've seen people who will go and just sit like this, and then there will be people who are meeting, and then there are people who are speaking too much and annoying, and then there are people who are observing. So here's one thing I've learned in masters. There was something they taught us in management. Whenever you go in a meeting in a room, first of all, figure out people who have the highest power and the highest interest in the process. For example, if you're applying, the program director for Colorado is Dr. Baskren. She's a person with one of the highest power and highest interest in the ISP program, right? Now, the dean of school might have more power than her, but she has low interest, right? So you walk into the room, your brain categorizes people. Okay, this is the person with the highest power, higher interest. This is a person with more power, but doesn't she have other issues to deal with? And then there might be one person who has a lot of interest in you, but doesn't have a power, like another student who's studying there. So when you go in there, you want to meet those people one by one, but you should know which person I'm attending to, and you're only going to get 1 or 2 minutes to make an impression. There's no second chance to make a first impression. First impression is only one time, and it starts from the way you walk in, the way you say hello, the way you greet, shake your hand. One of the things I did was I'm sorry, I'm speaking a little bit more than I should, but I was sitting in Colorado's room. There were a bunch of people, and everybody was introducing, my name is this, I did a research at Harvard, I worked with Dr. This in Boston. And one person said it, and the next person is trying to one up, like match up, like I did this. And when they came to me, I was like, my name is Adriel, and I work in Ohio with refugees, immigrants. That's something I enjoy, and I'm lucky to be here. They were like, that's it. I was like, yeah, that's it. Because I figured out if I try to one up all of these, what I'm gonna say, I did a master's, I was in neurosurgery. They don't give a crap. But that made
Yeah.
them realize, okay, this guy is not trying to do that. He's trying to, I don't know them, it worked or not, but well, I got accepted. But then at the end, they were like, do you have any questions? People were asking, how many implants do we get to do? How many like crowns we get to do? Do we get to meet other students? This and that. They asked me, do you have any question? I was like, yeah, what qualities are you looking for in students? Like,
Love the
what are
question.
you? Yeah. And the Dr. Bass can look at Dr. Town, who was the program director, and she was like, we don't know. Like they got, and I just asked. So the other thing is, if you're going in there, you want to make sure that if you're spending like $500 of ticket, you want to make your first impression countable, and you start working on this. It's just that was one of my thing. Like I was a health administration guy. I was always the people's person, right? So I knew if I'm gonna walk in, either they're gonna hate me or like me. Like the way I dress up, the way I'm gonna walk in, the confidence I'm gonna carry. I'm gonna make sure either you hate me or you like me, but you can't ignore me. That's the kind of mindset I had. Now, can everybody do it or everybody should do it? It's up to you, but that's one strategy to look at it.
I think it's an amazing strategy, honestly. And I actually didn't talk much. You know, I've been through a lot of interviews myself, and a month ago, I was on the end who would introduce myself in the auditorium to the faculty and other students, and I guess, the shortest because I know no one really cares. So, um,
See, here's the other thing.
yeah,
Here's the other thing. Now, if somebody is watching this interview right now, if you look at my personality and Ark's personality is different. His strength will be different from my strength. You need to understand what's your strength. My strength might be I speak a lot. I'm sorry, but I do. His strength may be his calmness. He's a person who's much more calm. He's a good listener. If you haven't noticed, he's a good listener. He's calm. He's listening. He has a smile. He wouldn't show stress that easily. I was telling him the other day, like we are the same age, but you look way younger than me. If he goes to a bar with me, we might end up showing IDs because of him. But the thing is, he has a calmness. So you need to actually figure out your strength. Maybe you actually are a genius in dentistry. I wasn't. I'm gonna be honest. I'm somebody who gets the job done, but I wouldn't say I was a genius in dentistry or I am a genius. So if you maybe are a genius, maybe you should use that. So you need to actually sit down and see what you're good at. And the other thing is, don't try to compete people around you. That's one of the stupidest mistake people do. They get like triggered. Oh, this person said he did MHA. I got to tell something too. That's the other thing I felt.
very quick. I feel like the smaller the batch they would invite for interviews, the less competition there is. I know you didn't experience that in Colorado, but
Well, it depends on school to school. Indiana
yeah.
had very few seats. Like if a school has 40 seats, Colorado, they end up calling about 80 to 100 people. Indiana has about 8 to 10, I think, seats. So they end up calling very few people, like about 60 people, or not even 60, about 20, 30 people. So it all depends on which school. So if I'm a candidate, and this is what I suggest people, uh, if you're applying to school, apply to schools with more seats, like big seats like Colorado, UCLA, USC, Boston has 80, UIC has a lot of seats, NYU, because then you have higher chance. Now, they might break it down into batches. There might be 5 people coming in. There might be 15 people coming in. The key thing is when I used to, this would help you in future too. When I went for like the ADEX exam, like your licensing exam, you're waking up early morning, you're stressed out, you put on your headphone. Like I used to put on my headphone and zone out everybody because people would be looking at their books, oh, crown prep, 1.5 margin, gold crown. And if I listen to them, I'm going to get confused and I'm going to end up making a mistake. I'm like, I did my best on the last minute. I'm not going to overstress. It is what it is now. If God wants me to pass this, I will. I'm going to put my headphone and try to like go in a different zone, like meditate, literally.
And you passed it, right, with the first attempt.
Yeah, I ended up doing it. But that's how I did most of my exam, because otherwise it's screw it. If you're gonna die, you're gonna die. Like if you're gonna fail, you're gonna fail. If you're gonna like your last minute preparation is not gonna do anything. Actually, sometimes we can get out of trouble if our you know how you're driving and all of a sudden something come in front of you and you have this quick reflex to turn around, right? The
Yeah.
reason you're doing that is because your brain is fresh. Sometimes we can dodge bullets, we can stop mistakes, we can turn again, we can fix them if we are alert. But if we are so freaking stressed that we did not sleep, which we can't at times, and then you're going in and you're stressing more, you're just digging your own grave. Work hard a month, a week, but when it starts to come on the day of interview or your bench exam, just start letting it go. Like you wanna, it's like a seesaw. You start working hard, and then you start giving in to God. Like let it be, let it be, let it be, let it be. I think that's the best way. Otherwise, you will kill yourself. Dentistry is a freaking. It will. I now understand why suicide rates in dentistry have been very high. There have been a lot of doctors charged with cocaine, drug abuse. In Ohio, there was a doctor whose third time being kicked out of a clinic from a Indian origin. I said this the other day too, and I was like amazed at this because he was taking the staff reported he takes drugs during or he gets disappear and do weird things. And I don't blame him. It's if you already have triggers and you come into this profession not realizing that, you can get into a like end up in a rabbit hole.
Otherwise, on the other hand, he could commit a suicide, right? You don't know what else he could have done, right? But drugs are bad for sure.
Yeah, yeah.
So that I agree. There's a lot of stress. I'm not in a dental school in the US, but I am currently finishing up my Master of Public Health full time while working 5 days a week and preparing for just another exam, just to take it in case. While I'm waiting for the responses from dental schools. I get it. Want to move to the next question, really. Why did you start consulting foreign trained dentists like us, helping
Because I
them?
like to speak. No, the thing is, I
Explore it.
I so my grandfather was a teacher. My dad worked in the government work. His heart was like he was a professor. He did a PhD. He was like into research. I grew up in a university campus where my dad used to teach. So when I was in my BDS, dental school, I was doing a private school. So all my friends were rich, and my dad might have been rich, but middle class. And I would say, hey, I need to buy a heavy bike, and he would say, this is a funny thing. He was like, he actually grabbed, like both my brothers were studying in England. Like one of them was a banker. I was like, both of them are out. I'm the only kid in house. Like, give me some leverage, like pay, like let me enjoy life. And he was like, listen, I can pay for your school. I can give you a roof. I can give you food. If you need anything beyond this, you're a grown ass guy. You need to go and work. Like when I was in 10th grade, I was to go and teach ninth grade kids. And that would make me so much angry. Like my dad and I used to have this ego fight. And these were like the last year we lived together. And he would like step on my toes. He was like 60-year-old at that time. And I was like 20, 21, like you're really crazy young kind of thing. And then what I did, I was like, okay, if you're not going to buy me a heavy bike, I'm going to start teaching kids, like high school kids, tutoring in the evening. So I used to go to dental school, come back, and then near my house, I found a job where I can start teaching. I started saving money out of it and bought like an old heavy bike, sports bike out of that. So I felt teaching was something I enjoy. Like if I would love to be a teacher. The reason I'm not in a dental school because I feel they serve a different God than I do. Like their agendas or it's their once you go in dental school, you realize what I'm saying. But the environment, the political inclinations, I just didn't feel like home. Otherwise, I would love to be a teacher. And at that time, COVID came and I said, okay, I applied in my first cycle. I got accepted. I got invite from six of them. I gave interview at five, except I didn't got accepted in Indiana, but I got accepted to UCLA, USC, NYU, Colorado. And during my interviews, I was talking to them about my YouTube, about this stuff. And I figured out, okay, there was something I did right that worked out. How about I make a video about this? And I did it in Urdu, which is my home country language, Hindi, Urdu. And then somebody say, make it in English. In 2020, I did it. And this was COVID. So I started doing it. And then I started to get negative pushback on it. My own friends were like, "Oh, you're doing this. This is my idea." All of that, and that day I realized now I feel like I'm doing something good. The day I had some pushback, that's what like now this is going somewhere. Like
That's what I'm
let's
getting. I have haters too.
you're going. Oh wow, congrats,
Yeah,
bud.
thank you.
You just earned the level 2 grade. That's good. That means you're doing something. You're riling up people. That's what I say. Either you should they should love you or hate you. They should not ignore you. That's the biggest thing. So I did that. It worked out. Then I did more and more, and it worked out. And then I got to a point where I started charging people a little by little. And then I got into a dental school. Then somebody complained about me to the dean as well that you should not be doing this, teaching people for interview prep and all of that. And I was like, okay, fine. But it was a back and forth with school negotiation kind of thing. My faculty said, just keep your head down, graduate, and then do whatever you want to do. But I
Very
think
smart.
it's what's well, I could have been more smarter in school, but I just like breaking, like pushing. I don't break rules, but I try to bend them and see how much I can bend, which was not very. If I well, it is what it is, but uh, I think just helping people, it's like connecting to different people. At that time, it's just it's like walking in an unknown jungle in an unknown area, and you don't know where you're going to end up. It's like how in Harry Potter there's the school area and then there's the dark forest, and you don't know what's going to come out of the dark forest. I
Yeah,
made really good friends. I'm talking to you, and I made some really I annoyed people too with that. So it's like a dark forest. You go in there, you got to enjoy the journey. That's the whole point.
I agree. I agree. Uh, we spend a lot of time. Let me ask you the last question. I could ask much more, but what is your plan for the future?
So right now, if you're gonna share, if you're comfortable sharing this in the description or wherever, people can see the YouTube channel that I'm running and all of that. But I've reached a point where I've been doing this for 4 to 5 years, and it's been working well. I enjoy it. Ark worked with me. He can tell you what I do or what I've done and how was it like. I do charge for my services. You can look at Instagram or my YouTube. But I felt I'm burning myself out. I'm restricting the number of people I can help. And if I want to help more, I'm gonna because I'm a dentist now, I would have to charge people more and more. And it doesn't make like it's like a not a smart move. And I've looked at different people if I can team up with them and you never feel you connect to people. I think I'm in my own way weird. And I was talking to Ark and I felt he's weird on his own way. I'm just joking, but he's a nice guy. He's going through the process. He has a YouTube. And I called him. I like, hey, is that something if you're interested, you can work as an associate, we can work as a partner, whatever you want to call, and I can help you so you can help more people, candidates in this way. You talk to a lot of Russian students, people coming from Balkan side. I've been connecting with a lot of Middle Eastern, Indian, Hispanic students. We should work together and see how it goes. If it works out, good enough. If it doesn't, we can at least shake hand and walk away. If it doesn't, who cares? So that was one of the plan I'm thinking. And let's see how it works out, buddy.
Let's see how it works out, actually. Did not expect you sharing whatever we talked about with the audience, which is good. It's very nice to be clear and open. It's really appreciated. And
And they can write in the comment, like if there's something they would like to ask you or me, if they want to, when we're going to make our next video, if there's any certain point, we can do a live session. I usually like, I want to let your audience know, like in the past, I would do free session, like a discussion session on YouTube and stuff on Zoom. You can join that, and Ark would most probably, if he's free or available, according to his time, if he can join in and he can do discussion and those things too.
totally. I have a lot of other questions to ask you, but that will go on the next videos. Also, guys, if you're watching this, if you have any other questions or any other answers you would like to hear out from Adriel, please comment them down below. Anything else you want to share?
Nothing, just I'm grateful for you, for your time, buddy, for doing this, for even thinking about working with me. I know you're going through process. There's a lot on your plate, and uh, I wish you all the best. It's not just I want to work with you. I'm also hoping that things open up for you and you get your acceptance at the right time, at the right place. Here's the other thing I would say. Sometimes God doesn't give us the things because we are too young to handle them. It's like if you take a hot pizza bite and it's not cold enough, you're going to burn your own mouth. That's how we are as humans. We get kicked out of the Garden of Eden for being stupid. So God knows a better timing. And I hope you get the right thing at the right time. That's what I've learned. And that's what I tell people. You want to get what you want, but you want to get at God's time. Because I've gotten things according to my time and I've suffered, literally suffered. So that's one advice I tell people, and that's hopefully that's my wish for you too. And
Thank you.
hopefully we'll keep working and try to create something constructive, something creative for people that can help them. And I would encourage people, like, write in the comment if you have any questions, give us some topic to think about. So next time we sit down, we can discuss.
Yep, there will be questions and answers in the future for sure. Thank you for watching, guys. Make sure you subscribe to Purpose-Driven Dentistry. That's the current name of Dr. Adriel's channel, and my channel, Dental Diary, and also my Russian channel in the description.
You gotta teach me Russian. That's the, oh, I forgot to tell you, that's the deal, buddy. There's certain things I would teach you, but you gotta teach me Russian too. That's
Alhamdulillah.
well, what did you say?
I
That's
confused.
Arabic.
I was gonna say inshallah,
Yeah,
but
that's inshallah. Yeah, you just said Arabic to me.
yeah, I said a different thing because I confused phrases.
Yeah, inshallah, and you said mashallah. You said something like that. But yeah, in Pakistan we say that. But in Russian, how do you say bye?
Пока.
Baka. And how do you say hi?
Привет.
Привет. Okay. All right. I'm gonna try to learn more words. If I don't know it, he's the reason. He's my Russian teacher. And if I can't speak it good enough in the next 6 months, this is the person you want to complain to.
For
Or
sure.
he's a good. All right.
See you guys. Make sure you subscribe and yeah, write down comments below, like this video that you just watched, and don't lose us. Follow. Bye bye.
Bye.